What comes to mind when you think creatures of the night? Vampires? Werewolves? Crazy scientists bringing things back from the dead? Otaku? With that theme in general, minus otakus of course, it's a pretty generic and somewhat classic monster grouping. You have Frankenstein, Dracula, ghosts, mummies, so on and so forth. And with today's game, it's actually set up in that whole classic monster universe. Only you play as a fearless hunter, sworn to kill them all. Because that's just what you do. That's what Daddy did, so that's what you gotta do. Hey everyone, Eezore here, and today's Eechieve video is on the incredible adventures of Van Helsing. Let's break it down.
It all began with a call for help. A letter from Borgovia addressed to Van Helsing, the great monster slayer, my father.
Now this game never really takes itself too seriously, and it plays better because of it. True, the hero is a bit, generic, but I think that really kind of adds to the game. With how wait, can I call him Van? That's a bit weird, I guess. Maybe Helsing? Yeah, that works. Helsing works like a Diablo dungeon crawler, without a dungeon. You can use melee, ranged, or magic attacks depending on how you want to play. Your default class is a hunter, but you can purchase either the arcane mechanic or the thaumaturge. These classes do play a bit differently and focus on different types of combat. For the sake of this review, I only played the hunter, seeing as it's a default class. Like I said, you can play how you want, and it really shows. Want to just be a beefcake running around with a two-handed sword, killing everything with power? Go ahead. Need that long-distance sniper to kill from afar? Knock yourself out. Magic is the odd one out, however, seeing as you need to unlock a few prereqs before you can use it, but you level fast enough that it's a minor wait time. And yes, you heard level. It's an action RPG with a gothic theme that never really lands on the full-on gothic vibe. It's like it knows it's supposed to be all dark and scary and kind of depressing, but it just throws it out the window. The humor directly reflects that, with Helsing usually saying something cliche, and then his ghost companion, Katarina, usually calling him out on it. Case in point, at some point you are in a mineshaft and Helsing says, "We should find a cart," and Katarina's like, "Oh no, we'll just end up in some stupid minecart race for our lives. You're walking." Genius. The humor will usually make you roll your eyes, and you can almost always hear the game roll its eyes too. It's part of the charm, and I found it enjoyable. Speaking of Katarina, the game has a very interesting mechanic involving your ghost friend. She is bound to Helsing per a contract, and she is actually really freaking helpful. You can customize quite a bit about her skills as far as how she acts, and it really surprised me at how in-depth it was. You can choose to make her melee or ranged, and her abilities are all passive. She levels separately than Helsing, and she can actually buff him quite a bit. Her blue blood traits buff her, while the others can raise your defense, attack speed, and even give you life per hit bonus. Her blue blood traits buff her, while the others can raise your defense, attack speed, and even give you a life per hit bonus. It's really cool how they integrated her into the game, because far too often you were given a partner that is just all kinds of useless. She even has her own inventory slots and can have different equipment on too. In regards to equipment, it's a dungeon crawling kind of equipment show. You get loot from everything, and you usually need to check out what you've picked up to see if it's an improvement. You can gain 3 levels and pick up a blue, which is a lower quality rare item, and it can be 10 times better than what you're wearing at the time. The game is usually pretty good at checking the stats and telling you what the difference is, but you should still double check it. The whole equipment page is a hot mess too, so it takes some finagling to figure out. Seriously, you have a melee and ranged weapon slot, a hat piece, a body piece, gloves, boots, a cape, 2 rings, a necklace, and a miscellaneous spot. That is a lot of gear to be wearing and sorting through, just saying. And you have very limited space, so inventory management is kind of a bit of a hassle. The nice go-around for this is the fact you can actually load up Katarina's inventory and tell her to go sell it all. She's gone for like a minute and then comes back with the money. You can even send her to go buy a whole bunch of potions. Love that mechanic. Prime example of partners done right. One problem though was the difficulty spikes. There are at least 3 different times in the game where it goes from laughably easy to dead in 2 seconds. And there's no real notice as to when it comes up. It's just you're running on to the next stage and then wham! 20 ornithopters show up and kill you. Seriously, when going for the hardcore achievement playthrough, I died 5 times. And all 5 were after playing for like 10-ish hours. You think you're doing fine, taking it slow, then one time you think you're fine, dead. Really, really sucks. And for sucking, the load times do just that. Suck the fun right out of the game. You clear the map, go to the next one, 30-second load screen. Only there for 2 minutes, 30-second load screen. Oh look, you started a quest after finishing one and loading into there. Load somewhere else, please. It's bad, especially if you're dying as much as I did in this game. The game itself can be cheap too. There are rare and unique monster packs, and true to dungeon crawler form, they usually get abilities that ruin your day. Like the trapped one, that traps you in a cage of bone while your monsters beat on you. Or the drain mana one, where you can't get away with your spell and die because of it. There are potions to use, but you need them so infrequently that I forget about them more often than not. And if you don't watch a video or two explaining how the menus work, good luck figuring out the finer points of the game. The skills are a bit clunky to read, and you really need to use them to understand how they work. You get bonuses if you keep to one tree, melee or ranged, but you need so many points to level things past the first 3 skills that you only get one upgrade a level at later levels. That really sucks. What I'm basically saying is this. This game is amazing, but you need to be really, really invested in it to get the most out of it. If you're looking for a dungeon crawler, you could do better. You could do a lot worse, but just know that it takes a bit of time investment to really understand this one. But if you do it, you come out with a confidence that can only be ruined by ornithopters. Stupid freaking machines. So now you know the ups and downs, let's talk achievements. It's a pretty good, well-rounded list with both easy and annoying achievements. Just to let you know as well, there are some that are broken, so just keep that in mind. You have the typical kill 50, 500, and 5,000 enemies, which will come easy enough, as well as opening 50, 100, and 200 chests. Everything resets when you leave the game, so you get these pretty easy. You have to do all of the side quests in both Markova and the Lair for 2, as well as do specific ones, which are part of those. A couple of story mandatory achievements. Kill a chicken with a sword, which is actually a bit harder than it sounds. Travel everywhere. There are some missable areas in the game, so make sure to follow a guide for those. Let Katarina kill a boss. Just make sure it's one of the earlier ones. It can even be a unique named monster, so not that worried, you'll find plenty of them. The Junkie achievement, which is just open more than 20 garbage containers at a certain point, and again, everything resets. The tricky ones are as follows. What's in the bag? At the beginning of the game, there's a goblin-like creature called a Dumbleboy, and you need to hit it 20 times before it runs off a cliff. You need to have a specific build in order to pull this off, but shouldn't take more than 2 attempts. It's early enough in the game, so it's not too bad overall, but it still can take a couple of tries. Spotless defense. There's a part in the main story where your lair is invaded. Spoilers. You need to kill everything without a single monster getting through. It's basically a dumbed down tower defense type of mission, so just look into how to set it up in order to win. This one is a pain since you play for about 6 hours or so and then have to do this perfectly. Just set the traps, stand in certain areas, keep the map up, don't die. The more you prep for this one, the better it's going to be. Riddle Me Wisp. This is one of those broken ones. I think they fixed it by now, but just in case, just be aware. You have 4 wisps in the game that ask a riddle, and you need to answer correctly. Just look them up, but sometimes this doesn't proc, like I said. Sometimes it procs after you've given 2 answers. Sometimes it doesn't even proc after all 4 are said. Just watch out on that one. Then finally, and most annoyingly, I'm so hardcore. Beat the game with a hardcore character. This is the most annoying one. A hardcore character, when killed, is dead. The end. Start over. Try again. Make a new character. My advice is this. Make a ranged build with Katarina as the tank. If she dies, run. If she's getting wrecked, run. Run and gun, then run again. Channel your inner coward. Like I stated before, this took me 5 runs to finally get. Watch out when you enter the industrial part at night, when you enter the actual city after the mine, and when fighting the last boss. Those were the danger zones, and really, really watch for them. The Frankenstein-looking monsters can pull you in, then wreck you. There are massive mortar enemies that can 2-shot you, and the ornithopters will swarm you. Just take it slow, play it safe, make Katarina do all of the heavy tanking, and you'll get it. I recommend having the damage reduction aura, heavy resistance perks, and use the ability you get after you kill the worm boss. Lets you run in a straight line, and it breaks pull-ins and frost. Also, play this game on casual, it's just that much easier. Another tip, like I said, make sure Katarina is set up to be a tank, but then also make it so that as long as she's alive, she's buffing Van Helsing. And basically, as much defense as you can possibly get out of her, you'll do all the damage, she just sits there and distracts them. That's the mentality you should have. Try to keep your old gear in the stash, as you will die a few times, and it's a lot better having some really good gear at certain points than always having to find amazing stuff. I always kept my uniques and set pieces in there just so I could use them as a whole, as well as some really good yellows I would find. If you keep it for more than 5 levels, I would recommend throwing it in the stash after you find an upgrade, just to make sure that you have it on your next playthrough. Because like I said, you will die. I enjoyed Van Helsing, but it's not without its trials and flaws. The hardcore achievement is by far the hardest one in the game, and that is the reason why I would say most people should not get it. It is really only for the achievement junkies, people who really like a challenge, and people who really like the game. It's a true achievement in my eyes, and that's why I think it would be such a struggle for most people to get. So attempt it if you dare. Don't say I didn't warn you, because it did, like, just now. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the game. Did you like it? Did you get the hardcore achievement? I did. It was kind of not worth it, but I'm a struggler like that. A glutton for punishment is actually a better phrase. How would you rank it in the overall dungeon crawler experience? I thought it was really, really good for being as in-depth as it was, but I think that it could have used a lot more polish to really make it like stand out a lot more. So, just my opinion. What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments down below. If you need help with the achievement list, I'll put a video guide somewhere on the side here with all the achievements that I have so far. I'm going to continuously get them uploaded for you guys. And if you like video game related content, such as achievement help and reviews and whatnot, consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching. I've been Eezore, and don't forget to keep your story going.